entirely out of our budget in the last few years, including purchasing and what we're all about, personnel, IT, for maintenance other than really maintenance. And there's something that has been rapidly.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for all you do with CAT. I think most of the council realize, probably all of the council realize how important CAT service is and how vital it is to our most vulnerable. And again, it's something we're going to discuss as soon as we start discussing the budget. I think it's more a question of how it should be funded and everything else, but we'll debate it starting next meeting. So thank you. Any other public comment? If not, we will move on to consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Jeff, you can. Roll call, please.
Mons?
Aye.
Mashilsky?
Aye.
Oak?
Aye.
Keeling?
Aye.
Bunkhauser?
Aye.
Cots?
Aye.
Wolfsmal?
Aye.
Spears? Motion carries.
Okay, we have no minutes for approval. Bill payments are in the amount of $793,516.85. On the mayor's report, we have a resolution for support for the reallocation of Prairie Parkway funds to the Northern Route 47 corridor. And as you know, February 14th, we had a meeting down in Oswego that Tom Cross facilitated. And it was attended by all the decision makers. I mean, it was Tom Cross, Randy Helfer's office was there, Mark Kirk's office, Pam Roth, Tim Schmitz, Kay Hatcher, Secretary Ann Schneider from IDOT Regions 1 and 2 supervisors, Chris Lawson, John Shaw. So there's, quite a few people in the room. Everyone discussed their points of view and, angled for their positions. I think our position was pretty strong. For taking the funding from the southern section of Route 47 and allocating it up north. Pretty much all the arguments I made are in this resolution that we would like to pass and send to all our representatives and IDOT. It was rather lengthy, but I think it's worthy of a read, so I'm going to read this resolution in full. Whereas the City Council of the United City of Yorkville, hereinafter called the city, has supported the proposed Prairie Parkway, including the passage of Resolution 2006-123 on December 26, 2006, and Resolution 2002-1 on February 5, 2002. And whereas the funds of the federal earmark for the Prairie Parkway were very restrictive in their original purpose, resulting in the stretch of Route 47 between I-80 and Caton Farm Road being the only segment of Route 47 that met federal earmark designations, and was subsequently funded to prevent loss of the earmarked funds. And whereas the Federal Highway Administration has since removed the record of decision on the Prairie Parkway, resulting in more flexibility with the Prairie Parkway earmarked funds. And whereas approximately $51 million in unallocated funds remain in the Prairie Parkway earmark, and whereas the cost of expanding Route 47 between I-80 and Caton Farm Road, south of Yorkville, is estimated at $99 million, and the cost of expanding Route 47 between Kennedy Road north of Yorkville is estimated at $77 million. And whereas the remaining unallocated funds are far less than the cost of expanding and reconstructing Route 47 from Kennedy Road to Cross Street. And whereas the stretch of Route 47 from Kennedy Road to Yorkville to Cross Street in Sugar Grove contains average daily traffic counts between 75% and 291% higher than the average daily traffic counts for the section of Route 47 between I-80 and Caton Farm Road. Whereas IDOT's own policies state the average daily traffic capacity of a two-lane highway similar to Route 47 should be between 8,500 and 12,500 vehicles for safe and efficient operations. And whereas all of the sections of Route 47 between Kennedy Road and Yorkville and Cross Street and Sugar Grove have an average daily traffic count exceeding the upper end of that safe usage standard. And none of the sections of Route 47 between I-80 and Caton Farm Road have an average daily traffic count that exceeds the lower end of that safe usage standard. And whereas the section of Route 47 between Kennedy Road and Yorkville and Cross Street and Sugar Grove had 300 reported crashes between 2007 and 2011. And the section of Route 47 between I-80 and Caton Farm Road had 97 crashes between 2007 and 2011. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and City Council of the United City of Yorkville, Kendall County, Illinois, that the allotted funds for the expansion and reconstruction of Route 47 from I-80 to Caton Farm Road should be reallocated to the expansion and reconstruction of Route 47 between Kennedy Road and Yorkville and Cross Street and Sugar Grove. So, like I said, overall arguments were made, and I mean, to me, I think pretty much every other normal person, they make sense. You know, I dump the money down there where there's no traffic. So, that's our argument. We are going to vote on the resolution and send it where it needs to go. Any questions, comments, concerns? Yes, sir.
Anybody that drives this stretch between Sugar Grove and Yorkville on a regular basis knows the importance of getting this expanded. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat in backups because there's just too many cars for that stretch of the road. So I fully support this. I think we should definitely approve this.
I think the crash data made a big impact on Secretary Schneider. That was what really opened her eyes. I don't know exactly how many, but the vast majority have to be rear-end accidents. And everyone's sitting in traffic. So, if nothing else, roll call, please. Oh, no, we didn't. Motion, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Milczewski.
Aye.
Coe.
Aye.
Seelig.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Cott.
Aye.
Osmo.
Aye.
Munn.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Diane, do you want to take Public Works?
Yeah, there's a motion to approve changes to the plan design to stay within the project budget as follows. Parking lot, asphalt instead of permeable pavers. Retaining wall selection, lower cost alternative will be selected. Curb, gutter, and sidewalk along Main Street will be removed. Second.
Comments, questions? $1 million unallocated funds remaining.
Yeah, in Public Works, we talked about this, and I really just want to make it clear what is it that is increasing and how much is it increasing if we do this project the way it was originally intended. Yeah. And then, is it because of labor costs, or is it because of, what the materials cost, or combination?
And whereas we talked about 47 County Road and North Road Cross Street, and Sugar Grove contains average daily traffic count between 75% and 291% higher than the average daily traffic count for a section of road.
And this is like your estimate, right? This isn't from like someone did.
As to the two-lane highway, similar to Route 47, should be between 8,500.
Okay, and I understand, what happened here. We delayed this project, and I'm just going to say it again because I said it in Public Works. We delayed this project because we were going to find a better place for this parking lot, and we didn't. We're going back to the original plan, and now there's certain things that we can't do because of it, particularly the permeable pavers, which I think is very good, especially in that area with the hill and the runoff and what that creates with, when you take away the grass and the, different things that are there. So I'm really disappointed that we can't do at least that. That's all I want to say. If we would have done this originally on the timeline that we were shooting for 2 years ago, it would have been done like this plan.
Well, the only question I had, and quite honestly about the pavers, personally I don't really care about the pavers. I mean, to me, the asphalt, the pavers, the water's running off to the same place when you put permeable pavers on a hill. The water's going to come out the bottom and go straight down to the river anyway. Unless you're right on top of an aquifer where the water can naturally seep back into the ground. On a hill, to me, it's a waste of money. The question I have is a retaining wall. We're going from a retaining wall to a retaining wall. From an engineering standpoint, this wall's not going to collapse on us. It's it meets the standards to hold up what it needs to hold up.
Yeah.
Anybody that drives this stretch between Sugar Grove and Northville on a regular basis knows the importance of getting this expanded. Yeah, just a point of clarification, so I understand this correctly. The curb, gutter, and sidewalk can be put in at a later date. We're designing it in such a way that if we come across some more money, we can go ahead and build those. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Actually, I guess that was the other question with the sidewalks that we were originally going to have. So how would the exit go at that point without the sidewalk? How would you get from the parking lot down to the street surface? I know we're going to have some stairs, but what about people who can't use the stairs? Yeah, but how do you get to the sidewalk on Van Emmen from the parking lot if you can't, if you have a walker, wheelchair, or something of that? There will be aisles. Okay, so it won't connect.
The sidewalk that was removed from the entrance on Main Street south.
Okay.
Up the hill.
Up the hill.
Up there.
Okay, all right. Okay, okay, thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Coe.
Aye.
Teeling.
Aye.
Funkhauser.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Wolfson.
Aye.
Munns.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, no EDC, public safety, or admin reports, anything from park board? No. Planning commission, anything? No ZBA? No city council report, city clerk's report? No city treasurer report? Any community liaison reports? Any staff reports? No report. Okay, we have a budget presentation. All yours, Bart. 20 minutes. Jeff, you can take your time.
I understand, what happened here. We delayed this project, and I was gonna say it again, because I said it in public works, we delayed this project because we were gonna find a better place for the parking lot, and, we didn't. We're going back to the original plan, and now there's certain things that we can do because of this, particularly the permeable paper, which I think is very good, especially in that area with the hill and the runoff, and with that creates, when you take away the grass and the. So I'm really disappointed that we have to release that. That's all I was saying. We were done originally on the timeline that we were years ago.
The last time you were here, you talked about
Well, the only question I had, and quite honestly, about the papers, personally, I don't really care about
schedule.
the asphalt papers, the water running off the same terminal papers on the hill. The water's gonna come out the bottom and go straight down to the river. Unless you're right on top of a river with water, you can't keep that into the ground. On a hill, to me, is
Narrative.
the question I have is retaining wall. If we're going from a retaining wall.
Again, remember, we're only.
Engineering standpoint, this wall's not gonna last on that. It meets the standards to hold up what it needs to hold up.
This is the only chamber state. Originally, all of your general operating points. Typically, that's an already budget standpoint. Each fund is going to have all the city cover sheets that summarize revenues, categories, and then the detail sheet.
Just a point of clarification.
The most important thing on
The
this
curb,
page,
gutter, and sidewalk
draft,
can be put in at a later date. We're designing it in such a way that you come across someone who knows you need to let them see it. And build those.
So, how does that compare to where we were last?
The other question was sidewalks.
We talked about this
Originally gonna have.
last meeting.
So how would we actually go to that one about sidewalk, how would we line for the street surface? So what about people who can't say that?
There will be sidewalks along that. The reason behind that is we've got the
How do you get to the sidewalk on that, from the parking lot? If you can't, if you have a walker, a wheelchair, or something like that.
even though there will be better options, it works off, that's off of Main Street, and there will be sidewalks along the side. Okay, so first page right off the bat, just our general way right to that.
Okay. Okay, so we'll connect.
You know, just, you're reading along, and then we found the line item with, the corresponding, R1 or E1, number, budget. So we're not gonna go over each one, but we thought it was helpful for you to be able to see it. So, two kind of big things on your general fund, talk about property tax, and then your sales tax. So again, from a property tax perspective, we are proposing operational property tax. We increase between 1% per year, that's a lot of tax gap, and then obviously, increase other taxes, payments, library, in their construction bond. So it should result in an overall property tax. Talk about that. So that's what's reflected in the line item. Corporate levy, this pension, again, function of the city for the tax cap. We are showing $170,000 of our expected allocation. That's important because we had an obligation. Sales taxes are grouped together, narrated in there. Sales taxes are doing a little worse than last year. Better than we had thought, which is good. And non-home rule sales taxes are a lot higher than we had looking at about $1.8 million this year. We're going forward, we have a good there. We're really talking that so good. Again, we're using that money. We are going to adjust the remainder of that is going towards all 7 roads. This is our second presentation, obviously, out of 2. Two other things, the last time they hear me talk about budget, other than the state income tax, there will be a public hearing next meeting, and just a reminder, we get tax by the end of the day. So a nice schedule. What we're going to do is we're actually going to go through the budget narrative, and we do our copy of the copies that you want them. We're not going to go get actually get more money. Just go through the small picture items, physically show you where they are in the budget. If you have questions or about the narrative, or the budget, basically, this is then good source of revenue for us. Again, remember, we're only approving the year 14 budget and everything else beyond that. So, the state increased their percentage of state taxes on your first page. None of that was funded. That all went to your general operations fund. So, we actually got the overall incentive page budget, and the overall fund is going to have and so we see the road cover sheet that summarizes the different revenues and expenses in the categories, and then the detail sheet. One thing on building permits, so the most important thing, everything on this page is building permits grabbed at the bottom off the general fund fund balance. Again, we have a policy that says always be everything else needs to be 5%. So we're not going to be using the rest one as a KDI value. So how does that compare though to where we were last year? We talked about this at the last meeting briefly. Here's the graph. Right? The red line on top is our current proposal, and this purple line is what we had shown last year. So significant last year on the revenue page perspective again than what we had shown last year. But again, now we have really the reason behind that is we've got the road infrastructure piece going to the city one capital tax piece, frees up money off general fund, and we're drawing down money in our water and sewer funds. So closing out this fund is better off than our other one. So that works off, and that's and so general fund transfer money into that. Okay, so first page right off the bat, and so now that our general fund revenues, so we're at 43, 44. So every municipal building is going, if you're reading along, and what we've done is we've tagged each of the line items with the corresponding R1 or
track that? How do you know when it's going to be paid back?
It'll be tracked administratively by the finance department. So, I don't know if we put it in the budget anywhere.
It would be under the budget, it would actually be on the balance sheet of the fund. Every year they would adjust it.
And we're, I think, on our current basis, under $2,000 for that, so,
All right, so now we're on page 45. And as you'll notice on this, this is what the cover sheet of the entire heading department. Over here, you've got your tracking kind of outlines of the groupings that we use for the overall. On the bottom, something to note with this graph is actually as far as our expenditures, not fund balance.
so that's what's reflected in the whole department.
And another thing to note is most business receivable price and we are showing so getting into some more detail, B1 through B5 and moving along in the narrative, you'll notice roughly all the departments from the other narrative now. B1 is essentially a 2% increase that we're more all about it. Essentially, it looks like a 5% that we could increase in the amount of employee contributions this year as well. So the employee is going to be spending more on their healthcare costs. You will see line item where it actually comes down over
The remainder of that is going towards
E3, which is actually on the next page, which is utilities, kind of budgeted modest increases over the next couple of years. Look at E4, at telecommunications. We basically just allocated this evenly between the departments, so there is a slight increase. E5 looks at our offenses. Essentially, we're doing the same system as the year before, but budget so that way all departments actually be able to kind of influence state and national confidence. And essentially, this is so that way they can keep up on local government trends and be able to basically be on the top of their game. And looking more specifically, I think it does apply to administration. We have E6, which is part-time salary, and that's basically for my salary through the internship and I use moving down to E7 through E10. That's basically all the elected officials' insurance. We're basically assuming that it's going to stay about the same. We're going to be coming back in the same into it. So we've also budgeted about 10 to 6% increase. 10% for the next fiscal year, and 6% for the year on, and we'll employee health insurance, health insurance.
everything else. One note on that, we just got back to health insurance, this past week, not looking good, so we're going to present a couple different options for the administration to be in March. To get that number below 10%, it's far down to get that. So the whole proposal with health insurance contributions going up to the employees matched by supplemental compensation that we talked about at the last meeting, that may be off the table if we're looking at a 10 to 20% increase from my recommendation perspective. The reason is even if you offset this year's increase in health insurance contribution percentage, the employee is still paying a large amount of health insurance costs going forward. So a couple years of, let's say, 15 or 20% increase now that saw a couple years ago, the employee would be paying a lot more. So the whole purpose of this proposal, again, was not to make the current employees pay more now, or even in the near future. It was to make sure that everybody that was hired after a certain date would be paying 52%, and then that would just be reflected in their salary. So everybody would be paying their full. But it's going to be, or could be, financially really bad for the preliminary. So more on that probably.
Item E11, that's for the Fennel County Transit. We are proposing to eliminate this service in fiscal year 14 to receive our last invoice on April 30th, so we have to make one more payment in fiscal year 14. But essentially, just the proposal that we have right now, this is something that the council is going to discuss and so themselves and want to go forward with eliminating the service.
We're not proposing to eliminate the service, we're proposing to eliminate our contribution.
Yeah, and then it'll be up to CAPS whether or not they decide to eliminate service and reduce it in our area, or what they decide to do going forward based on what we do with our budget. So, next page, E3, once again, our over utility. Alright, so then moving on to the finance department. Once again, you read this from left to right, it's just the expenses in the department itself, and along the side you can kind of track how different categories of expenses are divided. There's really only one item to note other than the original 5, and that would be our auditing services. Currently, we have a 5-year contract with our auditing services, and then this just represents the next 4 years of our contract going forward. And then moving on to page 50, we have community relations. This was cut a few years ago. We're basically recommending that we continue with it, not be present in the department. And then on 52, we get into engineering. As you all know, we outsource this to PEI. We also are recommending 5, and we are outsourcing to the state police department. Then we move on to the police. This cover sheet works the same way as the other two, left to right. This is the other things we related. It's just a representation of the expenses of the department, not the overall representation of fund balance. So E14 is police salary. One of the city council goals right now is to increase our full-time salary officers to kind of get up to the regional level. It's something that we want to do, but currently we do not have the budget to do it. So it's something that if there are extra dollars left over at the end of the year, we'll revisit this and look into hiring on another full-time officer to try to meet that level that we want to reach. It's basically going to use that as a year. So right now we have it estimated no increases in that salary. E15 is part-time salary, which you can tell when you change that program, which just kind of allows for some flexibility whether or not we can hire service officers, part-time officers, that side. Down, E16 is a vehicle and equipment charge back. So we started with this vehicle and equipment fund. Now, this that we are charging back $56,000 this year, and then going forward, we're starting a new rotation of this one vehicles. Since this is the operating budget, not a capital budget, we don't want to directly charge for the year, so we're charging them back into the capital funds, and we're going to pay for those vehicles. On community development, again, this is the same way with the expenditures down here, the categories on the sun. So, this we have 17, basically part-time salary. Last year we hired a part-time code official to come in and do inspections on mowing. Turns out he's able to handle almost the entire city's work, so we're recommending that we hire 2 part-time code officials, one to handle other types of code violations that may need to be inspected on the pools, broken windows, and if we're mowing violations, we pick up and assist with that as well. We are proposing to release the service in 318 is basically inspections right now, since we are having a part-time code official. We're not projecting any needed expenses for extra inspections, but we are budgeting for $10,000 plus in case you never know what happens in certainly if we start with numbers. The final thing is economic development, or community development is economic development. Right now, our current contract with the YEDC ends in fiscal year 13. So what we are looking at doing is create a new contract for 3 years, and that will have an inflation factor in there of 5%. This $45,000 number has been one of the divisions of why you need to run 1,000, and that's something that the one great work that they're doing, moving on to public works, there's really another page, the same way as the other one, this is our representation. Expenditure 5-year contract with our All right, so E20 over here on salaries and wages, that's increased a little more than in the other departments because in the past, we only budgeted for public works director's salary on sewer and water. We feel that it's more appropriate to budget it on sewer, water, and streets as well, so that's what that means. One is the same thing as the vehicle and putting cars back and it was used on lease. And then E22 is the sidewalk program. Right now, we're proposing to eliminate the other two programs and moving into a fully funded program now with capital budget, which basically will allow us to also negotiate the economies of scale and doing the sidewalk program to do that as opposed to doing it on a daily basis to the trucks. One of the council goals right now, in addition, we are also proposing to cut back on the senior subsidy for garbage services. We're proposing doing this over a 3-year increment with a 33% reduction all year and having it phased out. We are also proposing eliminating our right now, the current garbage contract allows for weekly pickup. That weeks throughout November, all the way to the end of November. Right now, we have the costs and the way that it ties up personnel, we believe this would be beneficial to city staff and for the budget in general. And it would also free up some equipment that we would then be able to sell and hopefully we will bring this next year to the city.
Okay, the last general fund administrative service department, construction development department, things that don't really have to do. So a couple things I wanted to point out here. One is CenCom. Had right now in the budget, fiscal year 15, $150,000. We did receive an invoice from CenCom in January, $2,000. We're currently researching that to make sure that money is due in fiscal year 13 or 14. It's our my initial interpretation that we wanted to do until fiscal year 15. So we determined that it was due in fiscal year 13 based on the recent agreement with CenCom to pay it, obviously. So the way the old agreement was structured, which is why they sent us a $22,000 invoice, we were making $22,000 invoice payments in 13, fiscal year 14, and then we were going with the full-blown share in fiscal year 15. So we did project, I think, a 10 or 15% budget increase each year going forward, and then calls will be relatively similar to what we are now. And when you do that, that's $150,000. So I know that the budget has increased somewhat substantially in the past year just to build out the sheriff's, build out the CenCom office. They bought some additional equipment, and then there was some programs. So I don't think it's unreasonable to think the budget can be lowered out.
Were we supposed to take 0 the first 2 years?
That was my interpretation of the researching it. So the last agreement that the city council approved stated that. The question is whether the result of litigation with the discussion and
We can't revert on the
yeah, that means.
You don't like this one, just throw it away, that's the way the old.
We can do whatever we want. We want to get lawyers down here, you know.
Yeah. Very good.
On that same page, if you've got it open in front of you, we'll just jump down to the information technology line item right below it. We are still recommending outsourcing for all IT services. We're still saving money over our in-house staff. And engineering, there's a couple line items. We've got an E28 line item in the budget. Again, outsourcing engineering is still more cost-effective than going in-house, even with all the extra things that you and I are doing that are old engineering that we do in-house. And then on top of that, subdivision inspection program now takes hourly instead of just being wrapped in something. So it's still cheaper on a year. So going on to the next page, a couple things. One is our contingencies line item. Again, our current policy states that of their annual budget. We currently funded at about 25%, so we haven't really fully funded that line item for a few years. We've also been relatively lucky for the past few years, not that many major emergencies in and of themselves. So the last section of the Administrative Services Department, this is where we can branch out into all the other funds. Municipal building transfers in there, close out. Below that, a couple line items, you got your transfer to the sewer. Again, that's your non-home sales tax, small apartment to pay off the and then the last thing is the park and recreation transfer. I highlighted it because it's much larger than it was in the prior year. We're estimating it's going to cost the city about $500,000 to $600,000 to back out of the rec center contract. We're getting into the individual funds. Some of these are going to be special funds, enterprise funds. So we've got 2 SSAs in the city, one Box Hill, Sunflower, and the Homeowner Association. Both those associations are all responsible for the general maintenance. In both of these subdivisions, we have large capital expenses. Over the next couple of years, proposing to do increase the Homeowner Association through the SSA tax. To accomplish those things, basically we're proposing to have the city self-fund all the improvements. So we're giving the subdivision tenants, 0% loan for the next 10 or 15 years. So Box Hill, in fiscal year 15 and 16, we have trail maintenance that has to be done for about $30,000. Again, that's on top of just a normal budget of $1,000. We have to increase utility $17 to $38 per house. That's per year. So an increase of about $20 obviously. In Sunflower, we have a bit more to do there. We have 90 ponds that have a lot of sediment built up in them. The detention ponds are not functioning as they should be. And so we risk more flooding in the area. We risk the pond becoming completely useless in a couple years. Our specific proposal, rather than dredge them and maybe get another 10 or 20 years out of them, would be the natural. It's better for the environment. It's a lot cheaper than dredging, actually. We think it looks better. A lot of people don't. That is our current city standard for detention. So that's what we're proposing. Again, we're looking at this in fiscal year 15 and 16, and dues for this subdivision are proposed $64 a year up to $150. So a larger percentage increase. That's that increase will not show up until the summer of 2014. We've already passed our levy ordinances for this year. So the property tax bill in summer of 2013 will not be so they've got an entire year. Skipping ahead, go to fuel tax fund. This is where some of our projects are going to be roads. Two things I wanted to point out on the revenue side. One, we've got a big grant construction. We do anticipate that when it's calendar year to do both the and then on top of that, the second thing is our Illinois Jobs and Outbreak Act. We talked about this a couple of years ago. The governor has announced that he's going to give all the municipalities an additional 5 supplemental MFPs. For us, it ends up being about $73,000 per disbursement, which is huge. So far, we've only got 3 of them, and we had heard a couple of years ago that it looked like we wanted to do that. So we have a budget going forward, which is why the 15 was 0, and then we got money in $17,000. So there's a chance that we couldn't even get money from either self-purchase if we have to, or road improvements, or something else. Speaking of those, we still have $50,000 for MFT patching per year on the expense side. This would be our annual fall contract when we put out the bid, do a structure of roadways and then the last thing is the parking ag. So we do have the Road to Better Roads program. So $250,000 per year roughly. fiscal year 14.4. See in our capital fund, we've got the other $750,000 right in our entire $1 million annual budget. Part of it's funded out of MFP. Different standards, we'll have to fill out some additional forms, pass those that money. But MFP money can only be used on these road type items, so we're going to use that. Game Farm Road, we do show wrapping up land acquisition basically 14, so now we progressing out of the work. Basically, we're then the last project we have in MFP is Timberwall Road surfacing that's going to be in the marketplace up to our we are getting a thorough Foxhill municipal building impact fee fund there. You talked about to close it up. There's a transfer in on the revenue side, and then citywide capital. So this is the majority of all of our capital projects. This first page, page 75, all the revenue. So just from top to bottom, we've got the Kennedy Road Trail grant revenue to be reimbursed for the next 5 fiscal years. That money is actually grant reimbursement revenue. Building permits, I talked about in the general fund. Whatever is above and beyond, building apartment costs is going to go into this one. Skip down, R4 is our road infrastructure. Talking about so this $669,000 enables us to fund our Road to Better Roads project program. And that represents $8 per utility per month for the next 5 years. So without this money, we're not going to be able to fund our Road to Better Roads program. Just if anybody's interested in that, we have about 6,900 billing accounts, so $8 per month.
Anyone can opt out if they can show that they don't have a vehicle.
Correct. We talked about that at the last meeting. We still work out that administrative process. Bond proceeds, and then bond proceeds is for our road program. Again, we talked about this in the picture. This basically results in a large influx of cash, and now we're going to be spending $1.78 grand. Loan proceeds are at low R6. It's going to be River Road Bridge funding to the county. On the expense side, this is where we actually are going to code the expenses for all projects. So engineering services are all your subdivision, CDI, Road to Better Roads program in there, $700,000. And then we've got funding for Route 71, state project on Route 47 all the way to Orchard Road. Share of that, same for Route 34. Road, decided memorandum, local share, funded in the budget. Game Farm Road is on there. You can see the outflow of the fund. Probably wrap up from a billing perspective in fiscal year 17. We think that might be a 1 or 2 year project from a construction perspective. It really depends on weather, timing, and those things. So, 2015 bond on D9, that represents the Game Farm Road bond. Bonded, start paying for it at 16. Even though the project is and then River Road Bridge is also so our current agreement with the county is they pay for the inputs to the project. The other $750,000. Moving on, vehicle equipment fund we talked about. This is the consolidation of police capital fund, parks capital fund, engineering fees, for all of our major vehicle purchases. So on the revenue side, I won't get under each of these various impact fees that also into this one. The way we track the spending of those is at the bottom of your fund balance. We track it out by police capital, public works capital, and parks. We still have the functionality of knowing how much money we have left in impact fees, but we have only one fund. So we've got one or two public works trucks this year, On your debt service fund, this is one bond, 2004A, 2005A, in-kind work program a few years ago. We do show R1, we're going to roll back property taxes, non-abated property tax each year for the next 5 years, terminating this year. I think my narrative is at the bottom. Extended, or proposing to extend it 1 year, property taxes. Water fund, sewer fund, I'm going to hand over to Jeff.
All right, so one thing that Mark touched on earlier was the fact that fund balance for the water fund, sewer funds, so whatever, kind of going down a little bit. Redoing the way that we handle some of our cash, so we get general fund longer moving forward. All right, so looking at these various things, similar to what Bart was just saying about abating property taxes, enabled us to take over the proposal proposed here with this 2005 bond, or 2017. And then looking at other things, we have water sales. Currently, our water rates are set to expire this year in fiscal year 14. So we need to revisit that. What we're proposing is for 1.5% increase. Basically, this is something we're going to revisit thereafter to see if it's necessary and make a recommendation on it. But right now, we're going to have that in the budget so we will be able to handle the expenses in our water fund. Correct. So comes in and it's part 3. That is where we're proposing to reduce the water infrastructure fund. We currently have on utility bills from $8 to just $4. This is just sort of offset a little bit from also implementing the rural infrastructure fee as well, and the fact that we're going to be Our 4 is water connection fees. This is something that is based on bill out. Looking forward to R6, that's the transfer from the sewer fund, so basically their share of the 2005 sewer fund. One right now, we have listed as bad debt. Currently, we're estimating about $15,000 worth of bad debt. Basically, this amounts to about 3/4% of all of our utility bills are not paid. The city doesn't do their needs on those properties. We will eventually be paid for that amount, just that we will not necessarily just after, so we want to flatten that out. And then the Route 47 expansion, this is just to cover fees to implement new infrastructure for water services. Moving on to the sewer fund, once again, that is dropped down over time. Same thing applies with R1. We're going to be trying to abate that. Realize the overall property taxes. And then we have R3, which is sewer infrastructure. We originally discussed this about maybe it would be something like $2. Revenue $2. So that plus water fee would be about $8 total. Maybe track something new that we're adding. That's why I'm and this is basically because part 2, we received our last payment from the Bravo sewer connection fees, and we should find a way to fund the sort of things we've got in revenue. Then you'll notice down at R4, with the transfer in general, this is not $500 sales tax, or earlier, this is just $1. Looking down here, similar to water fund, E1, septic expansion, these are just costs from sewer on the 47. And then the next page, until we have the developers meeting their end of the agreements, we're not able to include the budget for new expenditures.
Okay. In the home stretch, landscape funds are going to be all of our partner projects. All of these revenues are going to be state grants we've received or from impact fees that we've got. So all projects that we talk about are all offset by money that we got No general fund part, we did receive this grant. We do expect this fiscal year, this year. That's southeast corner of East Main and Route 27. In fiscal year 17, we show riverfront park applied to this advertising. So we wanted to make sure that we accounted for all the parks, park grants that we applied for in the budget. We do receive them, and so we show the revenue here for fiscal year 17. So the final one is the vehicle equipment fund. In fiscal year 14, we transfer money from the vehicle fund into the light cash fund. 2 years ago, there was rate rebuilding that already gave us money to basically take on some obligations with the subdivision. We did most of them at a cost less than what the money they gave us. We're transferring money into this fund to get some remaining on the park. On the expense side, over the next few years, park perspective, we talked about Clark Park, Riverfront Park. If we complete or if we are awarded the grant and we accept it, we would be looking to turn around really quickly on that. So we're projecting a 15 construction date again. And then E3 and E4 are both Park Grand Reserve, Park A and Park B. Those are in the north section of Grand Reserve. Park B is right north of the railroad tracks, and Park A is up in Alameda. Both of these were used as matches in other grants, and some state grants required us to complete them in fiscal year 15-16. Otherwise, we have to send back our money. So even though we are spending over $43,000 to $50,000 for these, example, the amount of the other parts. Parks and Recreation Fund, just a couple things to note. Again, I talked about the general fund transfer going way off that one. Jumping ahead of page. On the expense side, we've got some repair and maintenance line items that are going up. Because equipment is getting older on E1. And then the salaries and wages, on the recreation side. This is really the first time where we're pulling back an employee from the rec center into the parks and recreation. So we still have less employees than we had at our peak, but we have a lot more programs, even without the rec center that we used to have. So some of the vacancies that we had from 2007, next page, page 96. Again, we've got some maintenance line items that are going up. One thing I did want to point out is the property tax payment in the 79 funds for the normal rec center. That's the final property tax payment for the rec center. We chose not to show it in the rec center fund because we wanted to close out that fund. That's after fiscal year 14. So we wanted to keep that as clean as possible. So then the transfer to the rec center to close out the fund reflected in D5, and so that will zero it out. We didn't want to do it straight from the general fund, and we thought that it was a recreation service, and so we chose to show it from that. So that's why the general fund is transferring money to the recreation fund, which is then in turn transferred to the other person. The rec center fund is here, and it reflects our best estimates of what it's going to cost to operate it through June 30th of 2013. Library operations fund, I showed here what the library board is adopted. The one thing I wanted to highlight is in yellow here. I transferred from the general fund into that reflects the amount of money from the city council to transfer to their fund. We do not show a corresponding transfer into the fund in our general fund. So you would actually have to vote to authorize us to make that fund. The reason why we didn't recommend it was just from I think actually they're funded a couple days or maybe the day of without our budget. So, you know, we didn't really have time to analyze it. We just showed what they put in their packet and then the policy decisions have it. So we want to make sure that it's comfortable. Skipping ahead, our final three funds are the TIP funds in the countryside. The one thing that we did show is the incentive payout. I don't know what it is going to be. We would expect we paid out about $1.8 million a year ago. So from the TIF agreement. And then we're proposing to refinance the so what that'll do is it'll decrease our initial debt service costs. Save the city significant cash flow, and then it just stretches out the bond term. Right now, the bond is scheduled to pay off free, but if we've got an extra 4 years, to be paid off. And that'll be something that you'll have to vote on second. Or we were supposed to discuss the end. Downtown TIF fund is the last one. Property taxes for the TIF fund in R1 increased because of the declining evaluation TIF for the past couple of years. So we're down from the peak at about $7 million, which isn't good news, but it's but then we've got all our new line items last year on the expense. So we've got TIF incentive payouts for material investments, private property taxes on their properties, and now we obviously have we didn't budget for that because most of it's in offsetting line item incentive payments. Don't have a big impact on the bottom line of this one. We're using tax project costs, which are our things, and then the salary and wages are comparison, and then legal services too. So Kathy's time to negotiate agreements with the main our downtown TIF fund. That's an incentive that we provide. And then roughly incentive. Okay, so at the end of the budget, there's your consolidated budget, we talked about the last discussion. I just, the graph at the bottom, all your funds added together minus library and parks and recreation. So this is how things look in this budget compared to last year. So the red squares represent this current budget total, and the purple represents last year. So again, we're a little bit all over the board this year because of the influx in the road spot proceeds and this year between the upload and 16. But in general, we're in about the same position in this year 17 as last year. And again, remember, we're transferring money essentially from the water and sewer fund because we're decreasing the infrastructure needs. And the general fund is a lot better off than it was last year. We did talk about our recreation consolidated budget, library is all there too. Then we've got our service, our allocated funds, and then the next meeting, we're going to do a public hearing that is required opportunity to review some comments, talk about our proposals, we don't like. Really the only legally mandated time to do that. We do have a citizen comment section. I agree exactly with some of these allowed to do that on the agenda item. This is specifically tailored to the budget. So, as the mayor already stated, we've got 4 meetings remaining, which will discuss the budget between March and April. Debate and approval could occur at any one of those meetings. I listed that as March 26th. I assume the city council would vote on this. Legally, you could. And that's it.
Well, thank you guys. Jeff, nice job. Mark, nice job. So yeah, next meeting, come prepared after the close public hearing. We'll start hashing it out and debating what we like and what we don't like. Do we have any additional business tonight? Executive session, we're going to push that off.
We do need to do this one.
Really? All right, we'll do citizen comments first. Do we have any additional citizen comments this evening? Okay. Okay.
Wonderful things for somebody to get into our community and clear. My mother actually
Okay, would you state your name for the record, please?
Lori. argument, you know.
Okay, thank you. I know the Executive Director, Paul Lalonde, was here this evening, too. He spoke in the beginning of the meeting. So, thank you for coming tonight. So with that, we will adjourn to executive session.
So we chose to short. That's why the general fund grant, recreation fund, revenue grant, the rec center fund is here, and it reflects our best estimates of what it's going to cost to operate through June 30th. Project quality. Library operations fund, I showed here, this is what the library board has recently adopted. The one thing I wanted to highlight is in yellow here, the transfer from the library fund into another total. That reflects the amount of money that they're asking from the city council to transfer to their fund. We do not show a corresponding transfer into the fund in our general plan. So you would actually have to vote to authorize us to make that budget. The reason why we didn't recommend it was just from it's actually on their budget for a couple days or maybe the day of our budget. So we didn't really have time to analyze it. We just showed the data in their packet and then skipping ahead, our final three funds are TIP funds, the countryside. The one thing that we did show is the incentive payout at the end of this year will be we would expect we made up about $1.8 million. And then we're proposing to refinance the existing TIP funds. So what that'll do is it'll decrease our initial service costs, save the city significant cash flow, and then it just stretches out the bond term to match the schedule. So right now the bond is going to be off free, but we've got the next several years to be paid off. And that'll be something that you'll have to vote on second. Or we were supposed to discuss again. We've got 4 meetings. Downtown TIP fund is the last one. Property taxes in the TIP fund at R1 increased because of the declining evaluation in the past couple of years. So we're down from the peak of about $70,000, which isn't good news, but it's a matter of fact. But then we've got all our new line items created last year on the expenses. So we've got TIP incentive payouts for material investments, private sector from their property taxes on all their property. And now we're obviously they have we didn't budget for that because most of it's going to be offsetting line item and expense line item. So it won't have a big impact on the bottom line of this one. Project costs, which are our things, doing something hard to repair something, and then legal services. So we have time to negotiate agreements. We can pay out of our downtown TIP fund. That's an example we provide. And then Route 47. Okay, so at the end of the budget, there's your consolidated budget that we talked about the last week's picture discussion. And the graph at the bottom, all of your funds added together minus library, parks, and recreation. So this is how things look in this budget compared to last year. So the red squares represent this current budget proposal, and the purple represents last year. So again, we're a little bit all over the board this year because of the influx in the road bond proceeds and this year. But in general, we're in about the same position in fiscal year 17 as we were supposed to last year. And again, remember, we're transferring money essentially from the water and sewer fund because we're decreasing the infrastructure needs. And the general fund is a lot better off than it was last year. Park and recreation, consolidated budget, library is all there too. And then we've got our allocated funds and then the individual summaries of that. Next meeting, we're going to do a public hearing again. It's required opportunity to review some of the common talk about proposals that we like and don't like. Really the only legally mandated time for you to do that. We do have a citizen comment section at the beginning. And every example where somebody's allowed to do that on the agenda item. But this is specifically tailored to the budget. So, as the mayor already stated, we've got 4 meetings remaining in which to discuss the budget, 2 in March, 2 in April. Debate and approval could occur at any one of those meetings. I listed that as March 26th. I assume the city council would vote on this on March 12th. Legally, you could. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Lights? Well, thank you guys. Jeff, nice job. Bart, nice job. So yeah, next meeting, come prepared after the first public hearing. We'll start hashing it out and debating what we like and what we don't like. Do we have any additional business tonight? Executive session, we're going to push that off.
We do need to do this one.
Really? All right, we'll do citizen comments first. Do we have any additional citizen comments this evening?
My son and I just came to voice our support for Kate.
Okay. Okay.
We've seen it, wonderful things for some handicapped people in our church community and for some senior citizens. My mother actually was able to stay in her home for a couple of years because we wanted to express our support for that.
Okay, would you state your name for the record, please?
Lori Russell, Lori Russell, is my son Joe Russell.
Okay, thank you. I know the executive director, Paul Lalonde, was here this evening, too. He spoke in the beginning of the meeting. So, thank you for coming tonight. So with that, we will adjourn to executive session.